The latest NBC News polling in the presidential race shows an historic gender gap of more than 30 points. NBC News chief Washington correspondent Andrea Mitchell is looking into that part of the story.
We're doing this!
Could Kamala Harris finally break through America's ultimate glass ceiling and become the first woman president of the United States?
The vibes are so good. This is history making. It's really wonderful.
I love it. I think this is such a historic moment to be a part of.
Harris, unlike Hillary Clinton, has for the most part let her gender speak for itself. But to beat Donald Trump, she's counting on an outpouring of women who've flocked to the polls since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
Women voters being stripped of that fundamental freedom that they had come to rely on, it sparked an outrage in them.
The gender gap this year is huge, 30 points in the October NBC News poll. In 2016, when Clinton was running, the gender gap in exit polls was 24 points. Clinton says women candidates still have to project strength, but not too much.
It's still hard for some people to imagine a woman in the Oval Office.
Michelle Obama sees it as a double standard.
We expect her to be intelligent and articulate, to have a clear set of policies, to never show too much anger.
Harris often faces age-old criticism of women in power.
I don't think she's a leader or a boss. I think that there's somebody else behind it all.
I think she's slick, but I don't think overall she has a great intellect.
And not all women back Harris either.
She can smile very well, but that's about all she can do well. And she laughs a lot.
So it's really true that women like Kamala Harris are judged by a much tougher standard than men like Donald Trump.
Yes, there is a gender bias when it comes to judging women candidates. And it ranges from everything on, policy to appearances.
Running against Donald Trump, Harris has the extra challenge of countering his campaign's parade of male gladiators like Kid Rock and Hulk Hogan.
Let Trumpomania run wild, brother!
Eleanor Roosevelt was asked on Meet the Press in 1957 if a woman could ever become president.
Someday it will happen when you get to the point where you look at people in politics and in positions of political importance as people and not as either women or men.
Shirley Chisholm pioneered as a black woman running for president in 1972.
I only hoped that my successful candidacy will be an inspiration and a stimulation to many other black women up and down the breadth of this land.
175 women in 88 other countries have been elected head of state, including Golda Meir, Indira Gandhi, Margaret Thatcher, Angela Merkel, and this year Claudia Sheinbaum in Mexico. The question now, is America finally ready for its first Madam President?
Andrea joins us now, along with the co-founder and CEO of All In Together, Lauren Leader, as well as Alastair Campbell, who served as the Downing Street Director of Communications and Strategy under Prime Minister Tony Blair, and his press secretary and official spokesman as well. Andrea, what are you looking at? What's standing out to you at this moment in time?
Well, I'm fascinated by the Seltzer poll.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known Ann for a long time. She's rarely, if ever, wrong. And the fact that she was in the field last Tuesday to Thursday, October 28th to 31st.
Yeah.
So she was in the field after Madison Square Garden, okay, with all of that raw language and all of the racist language. After he had said, I will protect women, whether women like it or not. And what she found is that there was a real shift in older women. I mean, the gender gap that she found is just extraordinary. And the movement since her last poll, now, obviously, it's also, as she points out, the 6-week ban in Iowa. But what I was talking to Ben Wickler over the weekend, and if this is really accurate, it says something about rural white voters, older rural white voters. And if this is the case, then it could affect Wisconsin. It could affect those areas of Pennsylvania that are not showing up in the polls. So if older women are now coming out, if they are offended by the language, by the patronizing language, the callousness, by the vulgarity, by the violence that we're seeing, and that is his closing message. So I just think that the closing message of these two campaigns could not be more disparate. I mean, if you looked at Kamala Harris, on SNL, as you have, the joy, the enthusiasm, her last rally last night. And, I mean, clearly they're worried about Pennsylvania. I lived there for years. It's my adopted state. It is a problem. And if those suburban women don't turn out, and if they don't turn out a big margin. But in talking to Pennsylvania people last night who do the grassroots stuff, they are going back not only twice,
right?
They have so many volunteers. They're running into
canvassing like crazy. Lauren, I want to talk about abortion, and I think this is related. I think I don't know if Seltzer poll included the vulgar gesture that Donald Trump made that we can't really show. I mean, you can't put it on social media; it will be taken down. But for women right now who are looking at this choice, who are seeing what can happen to their daughters, their sisters, themselves, not being able to get life-saving health care now. That's their reality now because of Trump. I actually think the vulgar gesture sticks. I think it stands out as a problem to them if they're on the line.
Look, women have been drifting towards the Democrats for years already, and it was supercharged by Dobbs. That any of the divisions that have been there, that certainly we saw in 2016, to Andrea's point, the white, working class, non-college educated women who broke for Trump, we've been seeing for months that they're already starting to look more and more like Harris supporters. Independent women, which Ann also calls out in her polls, have been trending towards the Democrats. And by the way, women repudiated Trump in every single election since 2016. They did it in the midterms in 18, they did it in 20, they did it in 22. And in every one of those elections, I sat here with you all and we talked about the polls that showed that Republicans were going to do well. And what happened? Women turned out, and it turned those polls upside down. Because while Americans may be divided, it doesn't matter. What matters is who shows up. And women are the most reliable voters. They've outvoted men in every election since 1980. We're seeing it in the early vote. That's why Ann's polls are such an earthquake, as Lemire said earlier, because it's waking people up to the reality that, frankly, many of us have been saying for years.
And
older voters and older women.
Exactly. I mean, I one time when I was campaigning, I had a group of students going, "Why don't you advertise on radio stations we listen to?" I said, "Because you don't vote. I love you, but you don't vote. Older people vote. Women vote. Like the very people who are more likely to vote are on Kamala Harris's side." Alistair, I have a question for you. As an outside observer of the United States, you have Israel, who elected a woman leader 50 years ago. India 40 years ago. Hell, Great Britain, three. Thatcher. And Theresa May. You even elected Liz Truss.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Come on now.
That was a big mistake.
I don't know. Is it ever?
She did it. It happened.
She ended up really not beating the cabbage, but it was a close call. So I'm wondering, just as an outside observer, what do you think this race is looking like from everything that you've seen? Is the United States going to finally elect a woman as its leader?
I think so. I mean, I know you've got to keep talking about it, and there's only a day to go, but I think that the reason why Trump is behaving the way that he is, and the reason why he's doing all this legal strategy, and the reason why the lies are ramping up and Musk is becoming more and more ridiculous, I think deep down they know they've lost. And I do think it's going to be women that take it over the line. I think the abortion issue has really, really cut through. And maybe the other famous Joe Biden sort of didn't really feel that comfortable campaigning on it. They have campaigned on it. I think it's really cut through. I also think the thing about Trump, I mean, he's a fascinating phenomenon. There's no point in getting away from that. But he does things, you've mentioned two of them just in the last minute. He does things every single day that would have disqualified any predecessor or any leaders in most other countries. And that says to me that this goes deeper than just being Trump, men, women. This goes deep into something about what's happened to American culture.
What has happened from the outside? What has happened?
I think you've become, I mean, populism, polarization and post-truth. I thought they were going to stay in Russia.
Right.
I think they've been exported here in a big, big way. I think populism... And, you know, we watch interviews with... We've got populism in Britain. We had it with Johnson. We've had it with Brexit and so forth. But Johnson's been spat out of the system. People have seen through it, and he's gone. And he's now touring the world, not very successfully selling a book, but he's got no way back.
Right.
It stuns us that Trump has come back. It stuns us that he's even still in the race, that he can do the gesture that you talked about the other day, which, again, any other politician anywhere in the world, they're dead.
Anyone applying for any job.
Well, 34 felons gets you out of most jobs.
And Willie, you've got evangelicals who are watching that going, oh, Jesus, he's Jesus' chosen candidate.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think they've read the red letters lately.
Yeah, you talked about where were these people raised who laugh about jokes of people getting shot. You could also ask which church pew did they sit in. I guarantee it wasn't any that I've seen before. So let me ask you, Katty Kay, as we talk about the view from abroad, there is the behavior of Donald Trump, but then there's also the policy ideas. And if you're a member of NATO, for example, you're watching carefully and nervously for the election tomorrow night.
Yeah, if you're sitting on the front lines in Ukraine, you're watching polls out of Iowa. You're aware of that Des Moines Register poll, and you're hoping that it's right. You're absolutely watching nervously. I mean, I think America first probably means Europe last, and Donald Trump seems to have a particular antipathy towards Europe, but there would be a shift in alliances, certainly, and a shift around NATO in particular. Alistair, you mentioned something just now about how the world is stunned at the fact that Donald Trump can even re-emerge. So let's say Kamala Harris does win tomorrow, as you're predicting. Does some of that stunnedness, if that's a Monday morning word, still exist? I mean, do you think, I remember when Joe Biden was elected in 2020, I heard from European leaders, well, that's great, but you did still elect Donald Trump, and we can't rely on you not to go back again. What do you think it means in terms of the rest of the world's, or Europe in particular, and European allies' attitude to America?
Well, this is kind of what I was getting at earlier. I think something deeper has changed, which is going to outlast and outlive Trump. I think the fact that everybody talks about Trump so much maybe means that you don't focus enough on some of these underlying issues. The fact is that Joe Biden, who I thought, I love Joe Biden to bits, and I was sad that he had to go in the way that he did and so forth, but he was kind of a pretty America first in a lot of his foreign policy. I think that Europe looks at America sometimes and thinks that America doesn't really understand or appreciate the extent to which what you do here and how you vote here really, really, really matters to the rest of the world. I'm always stunned when I come here. You made this point earlier, how little foreign policy actually is part of the debate. How little actually any policy is part of the debate. Because Trump just exhausts everybody, takes the oxygen out. And the other thing he's done, Katty, is, he's normalised the abnormal in so many ways. And once the abnormal is normalised, it's very, very hard to get it back.
That's fascism. Actually, former Downing Street Director of Communications and Strategy, Alistair Campbell. Thank you very much.